All content is publicly sourced and used under the USA Fair Use and UK Fair Dealing Guidelines. The things I say are strictly my opinion. Good afternoon, everyone. It's the Bizzy Bee with the royalty. It is the 29th of October, a Thursday. I hope you've all had a great day so far. After my video yesterday, I know I said I probably wouldn't be back for a little while because I had things going on mentally. Well, you're probably thinking, what are you doing back today? It's just the next day. When I woke up this morning, I did a lot of thinking while I was drinking my coffee. First of all, I prayed for inner strength and peace. And I thought about the two people in the world who I look up to the most, try to emulate. Number one is my grandmother, my blessed saint of a grandmother, Audrey. That was her name, Audrey. I thought, when I was a kid and I would misbehave, she would have me to go out into the front yard and get a switch off of one of her azalea bushes and bring it in the house, and she would wear me out. That's old lady speak for give me a spanking. And I thought, if she believed for one moment that I was lying around feeling depressed and I'd stop doing something that I love, which is making these videos, I do love doing it, she would make me go get a switch and she would wear me out. No, that's not the way we do things. And then the other person I look up to, Her Majesty the Queen. Of course you should know that. I thought, what would she do if she was in my situation? And only one thing came to mind. She would say, I believe she would say something along the lines of, one must carry on. No choice. Which is absolutely what you have to do. She would go on as if nothing had happened and keep doing what she had to do. And I also thought about if there's people out there watching this who are going through the same situation I'm going through, what kind of example am I setting if I say, hey, I'm just going to quit doing this for a while, I'm just going to lay around and be miserable and feel depressed? That's not a good example. It's saying it's okay to lie around and feel defeated, and I don't want to put that off into the world. I want people who are going through the same thing that I'm going through to be able to say, hey, he kept going, he's got a positive attitude, I can do it if he can do it. I want to set a good example and not be someone who feels sorry for themselves, not feel sorry for themselves, but it lies around in a depression because of something that you can't control. We can't control the cards that we're given in life, but we can control what we do with them. And I want to try to give a good example for others and say, hey, you can keep a positive attitude and go on. That's really all I want to say about that. I'm glad to be back. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate all the kind words and comments you had in the video yesterday. So let's move on. Somebody said in the comment yesterday that Smegs is nothing like Wally, aka Wallace, that woman Simpson. At least Mrs. Simpson had enough class to stay out of sight of the royals. Totally agree. Mrs. Simpson wasn't trying to bring the royals down. Every time she opened their mouth, she went to France, stayed in exile, mouth shut. Exactly what Smegs should do. Move to LA, keep your mouth shut, Smegs. Nobody cares. For today's royal history tidbit, I have Caroline of Ansbach. Now, she was the queen consort of King George II. She only made it 10 years in that role. Unfortunately, she passed away before his reign ended. Her signature, now I couldn't find, well, let me correct myself. I did find several interesting facts, but not any that were relatively short. They would all take too much time to explain. So I'm just going to give you this interesting poem from the reign of her husband. Thought was kind of relatable. You may strut, Dapper George, but 'twill all be in vain. We all know 'tis Queen Caroline, not you, that reign. So she was in charge of her husband. So it kind of makes me think that being a handbag husband runs in the family for Handbag Harry. So for today's episode of As the Stomach Turns, we're going to discuss the many legal problems of the Harkles. Well, number one, Handbag sends a legal warning to the same newspaper Smegs is suing. How much do you think her lawyers are making per hour? At least $400 or $500, right? They're making a fortune off of these people. Like I've said before, Smegs better be sending a handwritten in that tacky calligraphy thank you note to every one of the British taxpayers, not only for funding her security, that new house in Montecito, her wardrobe, and paying for these expensive lawyers. Thank you, UK taxpayers. His lawyers accused the Mail on Sunday of publishing a false and defamatory article about his relationship with the British Armed Forces. False and defamatory. Did they say he was actually doing some real work? That would be the only false and defamatory thing I think you could say about Handbag Harkle. Anyway, Handbag Harkle has issued a legal warning to the very same newspaper whose parent company Smegs is currently suing, telling the Mail on Sunday that their recent report about him falling out of touch with the British Marines is false and defamatory. Handbag's lawyers at Schillings issued the legal warning on Monday, responding to a Mail on Sunday article that claimed Handbag has not been in touch by phone, letter, nor email since his last appearance as an honorary Marine in March. Sources say that Handbag, who was made Captain General of the Marines in 2017 but withdrew his position when he stepped down from the royal family this spring, was upset at the insinuation that he has abandoned the armed forces for whom he has served for 2 decades. 2 decades. What is he, 36, right? 35 or 36? Can't remember. He would have had to start it when he was 15 or 16. Not 2 decades. That doesn't quite add up unless they're doing the kind of math that Smegs does. He might have been made to give up his titles, but he has not given up on the military. Far from it, said a friend. An aide for Handbag clarified. To say he has not been in touch with the Marines is not the case. He had many conversations with former colleagues during the lockdown. The lockdown, is that what he's calling his time with Smegs now? And is in regular contact with a lot of military personnel on a private and personal basis. Right, he's probably calling them and trying to coordinate a time when they can get his escape ready, get him away from Smegs, right? Handbag inherited the role of Captain of the Marines from the Queen in 2017, succeeding Prince Philip, who had held the post for 64 years. There has been some suggestion that Handbag's aunt, Princess Anne, could replace him as Captain of the Marines. Being stripped of his military titles, is something friends say was particularly painful to the prince, who has forged close connections to the military and launched the Invictus Games to help wounded service personnel. Speaking to the Mail on Sunday, Major General Julian Thompson, who led 3 commando brigades during the 1982 Falklands War, said, "I'm not trying to give him a lecture, but he has to take a job seriously and not just say, well, I'm still the Captain General, but I'm going to live in Los Angeles and never visit the UK. It's wrong. You can't do that. He is expected to attend events and be around and be as accessible as his grandfather was." Comparing a Handbag to his grandfather, Prince Philip? No, not good. There's no comparison. Prince Philip is all about duty and respect for the crown. Handbag has no sense of duty, no sense of respect. The only person he obeys at all is that dumb, idiotic wife of his, because she's got him by the you-know-whats. The Mail on Sunday also suggested that Handbag has snubbed Lord Dannatt, a former chief of the General Staff who wrote to the Prince requesting more support for Britain's military community, but never received a reply. Sources close to Handbag, however, claimed the letter was never sent on, and that his office has since been in touch to request a copy of the letter is sent to the Duke's staff in L.A. Oh, I said the Duke. I'm sorry. Handbag. Handbag's legal warning to the Mail on Sunday comes as Smegs is in the midst of her own lawsuit against the paper's publisher, Associated Newspapers. They must have an Excel chart to keep track of all the lawsuits they have going, because it would be very confusing. Oh my, where were we? In the midst of her own lawsuit against the paper's publisher, Associated Newspapers, which she sued him for breach of copyright after it published a private letter she wrote to her father, Thomas Markle. Okay, where do we go? Okay. According to royal biographer Robert Lacey, there is evidence of an ongoing campaign at the palace to discredit the Harkles, with some courtiers speaking negatively about them to the press. It's made a reconciliation between Handbag and Prince William even less likely, Lacey said in an interview with Vanity Fair last week, against the Harkles, which has made Handbag feel alienated and a reconciliation with. This is Vanity Fair. When are they going to hire some proofreaders? My. Tisk, tisk, tisk. Added a source close to Handbag, it does seem to be the case that there's still some people trying to make his life difficult and in some cases just take a pop at him. Oh, here we go again. Their life is so difficult. Harkles, try walking for just a moment in someone else's shoes and then tell us how difficult your life is in your $14.5 million mansion, and you, too, and your child all have your health. Shut the heck up and go away, please. Okay, the next legal problem that we have, Smegs' legal team has asked to postpone the start of her privacy trial. As we all know, is set to begin in January. Now, the Nothing of Nowhere's privacy lawsuit against the publishers of the Mail on Sunday over the paper's publication of a letter she wrote to her father continues. Tomorrow there will be a hearing regarding her legal team's application to postpone the trial. It was previously scheduled to begin on the 11th of January 2021. Last month, the judge ruled that Associated Newspapers could use Finding Freedom, a buzzy new biography of the Harkleses by reporters Caroline Duran and Omid Scobie, in their defense. A buzzy new biography? Let me guess, every time you come across a lie in it, you buzz. That's why it's buzzy, because there's nothing but buzz, because the book ain't filled with nothing but lies. Following that decision, a spokesperson for Schillings, the legal firm representing Smegs, issued a statement which read in part, and you can read it. I'm not going to glorify her attorney's words with any of my time. Smegs' lawyers are making an application to adjourn in part due to the extra work involved with the inclusion of Finding Freedom in the defense. They are also appealing the biography's inclusion in a separate application. In addition to the postponement, Smegs' team has applied for a summary judgment as opposed to a trial with the jury. Tomorrow in court, they will argue that they don't believe there is a compelling reason for trial. Now, I did come across, after I put that article in there, that she has been granted the delay that she was seeking, and it's going to be put off till fall of next year, like a year from now, till the 15th of October 2021, on confidential grounds. Now, it doesn't go into what these confidential grounds are, obviously, but I'm thinking two things, everybody, and I'm sure you'll all agree with me. Either she's about to fake another pregnancy, and she's probably going to get her months all wrong because she has no idea how long a woman's supposed to be pregnant, so a year from now she'll still be carrying around that fake baby, and that prosthetic bump is going to be all over the place. It's going to be down at her knees, so it's going to be look like her knees are carrying a baby. Then it's going to be up on her chin. Then it's going to be on her sides. You know how that thing moves. Either she's faking a pregnancy, or she's holding out hope that her father is so unhealthy that he will have kicked the bucket by this time next year. Guarantee you one of those two things. All right, everybody. What have we learned today? Well, number one, which is more invasive, unwanted, and unwelcome, Smegs or cancer? That's a hard one. Number two, somewhere in Montecito, after hearing the words hard one, Smega has flopped down on a mattress. And she's checking the $20. Oh my. She's checking the nightstand to make sure you put that 20 there and paid first. Number three, Mrs. Simpson had many things Mrs. Harkle never will. Class, style, substance. But they do have one thing in common: men in blank uniforms. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, in the movie The King's Speech, they talk about how a higher up in the German army was sending Mrs. Simpson 17 carnations a day because he was so enamored with her tricks that she picked up at the Bangkok brothel. That's the Queen Mother and Winston Churchill's words, not mine. Number 4, the Harkles' attorneys are busier than a working girl on a 3-day weekend. Number 5, Handbag has finally admitted marriage to Smegs is like being in prison, as he now refers to their relationship as the lockdown. Number 6, the prosthetic moon bump is being warmed up as we speak. Number 7, Smegs wishes no ill will on anyone, especially not her father. Everyone, the 3 ladies and 1 gentleman love treats. There's the P.O. Box if you want to send them. And, tips are greatly appreciated as well. There's my PayPal info. Thank you in advance. And my partner told me Facebook would be a great way to connect with my audience. I've never used Facebook before until this. I've never used social media in my private life, to be quite honest with you. So there's my Facebook info. He downloaded Messenger for me. So if any one of you wants to message me on Messenger, great, hit me up and we can talk about the Harkles, or we can talk about the royal family, or we can talk about what we're going to make for dinner this weekend, or whatever you want. So that's what my Facebook page looks like, so you know how to find me. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And again, I appreciate the kind comments you left in yesterday's video. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and hit the notification button. I will see you all in the next one, which will definitely be tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Have a good evening.